Today, let's get the AI Chat GPT to create a Gambit movie for us. We give info on the main characters, a bit of backstory, and we know it's a heist movie based on insider interviews. Let's see what we get.
The night sky hung heavy and dark over the grandiose mansion, as if warning of the danger that lay within. Gambit, the legendary thief with a flair for the dramatic, had been hired to steal a valuable artifact from the wealthy businessman, Sebastian Shaw. It was a job that would test even his considerable skills. As he slipped past the ornate gates and into the estate, Gambit could feel the weight of the task ahead of him. He knew that Shaw was in league with a dangerous criminal organization, but the lure of the reward was too great to ignore. Gambit moved like a shadow, his eyes scanning every corner of the mansion for any signs of danger. He could feel the tension building in his muscles as he crept closer to his target, his hands twitching in anticipation. Finally, he reached the artifact, a small but valuable item that glimmered in the moonlight. Gambit's heart raced as he lifted it from its pedestal, but as he turned to make his escape, he was suddenly confronted by a group of armed guards. Gambit fought back with all the skill he had acquired over the years, but the odds were against him. He was forced to flee for his life, narrowly escaping the clutches of his would-be captors. As he made his way back to the Thieves' Guild, Gambit knew that he had underestimated the danger of the job. He had barely survived this time, but he couldn't help but wonder what horrors lay in store for him as he delved deeper into the world of Sebastian Shaw and his criminal organization. The danger he had faced had been greater than anything he had experienced before, and he knew that he needed help if he was going to complete this job and survive. But when he returned to the Thieves' Guild, the response was not what he had hoped for. The guild refused to aid him, citing their own interests and their fear of retaliation from the powerful criminal organization that he had uncovered. Gambit felt a bitter sense of betrayal, knowing that he had always been loyal to the guild and yet they would not return the favor. Determined not to give up, he sought out the only person he knew he could trust, Belladonna Boudreaux, his childhood friend and love interest. He found her in the dark alleys of New Orleans, where she had been hiding from her own guild. Despite the danger, Gambit knew that Bella was the key to his success. She listened as he explained the danger they faced, her face etched with concern. And when he asked for her help, she did not hesitate to say yes. Together, they began to plan the heist, relying on their shared history and their intimate knowledge of the city to navigate the complicated web of criminal organizations and rival guilds. Gambit felt a glimmer of hope as he worked with Bella, knowing that they had each other's backs. For the first time since he had taken on this job, he felt a sense of confidence that they could succeed. And if they did, perhaps it would be the beginning of a new era for the Thieves' Guild and the Assassins' Guild, one where they worked together instead of against each other. Gambit's fingers danced across the cards as he prepared for the heist. The Thieves' Guild had turned their back on him, but he wasn't alone. Belladonna stood beside him, her icy gaze fixed on the cards as he threw them. Gambit leaned back against the wall of the abandoned warehouse, taking a deep breath as he tried to calm his nerves. He closed his eyes and let his mind drift back to the past, to a time before he had become a thief, before he had become Gambit. He remembered the first time he had met Bella. He had been just a boy, running wild on the streets of New Orleans, stealing what he needed to survive. She had been there, too, a little girl with bright green eyes and wild curly hair. They had become fast friends, running together through the streets, stealing from whoever they could. It wasn't until years later that they found out they were from rival guilds, but by then it was too late. They were already in love. Their fathers had arranged a marriage between them, hoping it would unite the guilds and put an end to the feud. But it had only made things worse. Bella's brother, Julian, had challenged Gambit to a fight to the death, and Gambit had won, killing the man he had once called a friend. The marriage was cancelled, and they were forced to stay away from each other for their own safety. But they had met a few times in secret, unable to resist the pull they felt towards each other. Gambit shook his head, clearing the memories from his mind. He had a job to do, and he couldn't afford to let the past distract him. He took a deep breath, steadying himself, and stepped out of the shadows. It was time to get to work.